Investing in lands and properties are one of the lucrative business enterprises in Ghana. Notwithstanding the benefits of acquiring lands and properties in Ghana, it has its own challenges. Due to the uncertainty in land ownership system in Ghana, acquiring a land which is clean and free from litigation and other burden can be very daunting. It is therefore very important that the prospective buyer or investor undertake proper due diligence to minimize the risk of entering into a fraudulent transaction. Our discussion today is land acquisition, the right process. Again, you'll be telling us your story and your experiences by sending us a WhatsApp on our WhatsApp line 0500 180 697. 0500 180 697. The show takes a break. We return shortly. Welcome back. This is your number one tele-construction guy show. My name is Emmanuel Owusu Answer. My guest today, a renowned property consultant, the managing director for Rebus Limited here in Accra. He is Mr. Wintima Aneba. So thank you for making time to join us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
To begin with, the conception. Once an individual conceives the idea that I want to have a property, I want to own a property, as an experienced consultant, what is the first step to be taken?
Yeah, as a consultant with such experience, I'll always advise anybody who has the intent to acquire a property to do what we call due diligence. Due diligence is very, very important. Without due diligence, the probability of you losing your investment is very high.
So due diligence, you would want to walk us through what due diligence is?
Yeah, due diligence is the processes that a person will go through to enable him not lose his investment when it comes to purchasing a property. And it's very, very necessary. We have a lot of steps that you have to go through to enable you go, and you will not have all those issues that people always get around.
But the story, as we know, trying to secure property, most importantly land, it has a lot of terrible stories that we normally hear almost every day. And why is it that it's still a challenge?
Yeah, it's a challenge because people are refusing to do the proper thing.
People, or you think the institutions, the government?
Yes, they are also trying to do their best, but their best is not always enough. But they are also in the process of changing things to making sure that we'll be able to do those due diligence in a fast and in a very short time.
Okay. Now, a bit of my observation over these years, I've realized that it's always a call, it's always an introduction to being told, I've seen a property here, I've seen a land here, and the prospective buyer just jumps to conclusion. Sometimes I feel they don't really have direction. It's just the availability of the property and they wanting to buy. Do you think it's right?
No, that is not right. That is not right at all. That is why I said we are supposed to always go through the processes of making sure that nobody is taking your investment away. You always ensure that you follow the steps of due diligence.
Okay, so I understand the due diligence, but the purpose for even the use of the property, that's what I'm trying to hit at. Probably the vision of which,
yes.
the person would want to buy the property. Do you think every property should be bought?
Yes, that is also part of the due diligence I always talk about. When you have the intent to purchase a property, first of all, what you are supposed to do is know the exact purpose of that property, why you are acquiring the property. So let's give an example. If I'm acquiring a property for a hospital, I should be able to identify an area that I will build up that hospital, which will be beneficiary to me. But you just don't go buy property anywhere and establish a hospital, and at the end of the day, you fail. So the first thing you have to know is, where am I going to buy the property? Which area do I want the property? What exactly am I using the property for? So when you know these things, it helps you to do your due diligence better, and it helps in you winning.
Now, the due diligence you've been talking about, who is supposed to do this due diligence? Am I the assignee, am I the sole post person to visit this property, the land, to pick my reconnaissance, then make the decision? Or I need to employ the services of a professional to do this?
Yes, it involves a lot. As you said, it will still require you getting a professional. It will require you yourself also doing part of the work. So let's say when you are doing due diligence, one of the things you have to look at is the site, the actual location that you have been sent to, the physical location. So immediately you are taken to the physical location, the next thing you should think about is trying to get a surveyor to pick the coordinates of that particular property. So when you get it, then you just oppose it with the site plan the assignor or the lessor has given to you. So when you do the comparison, you are able to identify that, yes, this is the exact land we are talking about. It's not a different property we are here talking about.
So what you're saying is that we should never use the site plan of the assignor or the lessor. We should never use that.
No,
we should always go
I don't
for...
prescribe that. I always ensure that we go for our own surveyor who picks the plot and be able to work with the coordinates, create a site plan, then we can use it to juxtapose what. A site plan is basically a document that describes your land in coordinates. So it indicates that these are the coordinates of the land, and every coordinate is unique on the Mother Earth. It's very unique. So if you have your coordinates, it doesn't have another person also having the same kind of coordinates. Coordinates are always different. So if I have my coordinates and it's on my site plan, I should own it. An example, you asked the question, so I want to use this to answer that. There was a law firm that brought a lady for us to check her problem. Her problem was that she had acquired a property. She was given a site plan. And this site plan, she had stayed on the land for like 3 years without any disturbance, until one day they came saying that this land belongs to us. And she said, no, this property, I acquired it, they gave me these documents, and there's nothing that shows that it's not mine. So when it was brought to me and I heard the story, what we did was that we also went to the site, picked the coordinates of that land, and when we juxtaposed it with her land, we realized that there were two different lands we're talking about. So in this direction...
Clearly, the site plans was for two different sites.
Yes, it was for two different sites.
So it means the lady, what they had given the lady was wrong.
Was wrong, and she has paid for it, and she was living on the wrong location. But later on, when we did our searches, we realized that her land was far from where she was staying, and a mosque had been built on it. Wow. So we had nothing to do. So
clearly she loses the case.
She loses the case in a way.
So that explains why you think we should have our own independent surveyor develop a site plan.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So for the purposes of following this program, terminologies like assignor and assignee simply means that the assignor means the person selling and the assignee means the person buying, so that you can also follow the program. Annabelle, now you've been talking about due diligence, the person going to the site to understand and also see for him or herself what the situation is on the ground. What is the usefulness of that?
It is very, very necessary, because when you go to the ground, there's a lot of things you can pick up. In case you want to buy and have your residence, you should also know that most of our lands are waterlogged. So when you go to the site, you will be able to identify if the land is good for that purpose or not. So if you have an expert and you get to the land, one of the things you should be looking at is the level of the ground. If it is upper, that is very good. But if you are lower, the hill, that is very dangerous for you, because as developments come up, all the rains that will be coming from uphill will come towards your place, and you'll start having waterlogged issues. Certain things that people are also supposed to do is that when you even get to the site, you should be able to look at the kind of plants that grows there. Having the kind of plants grow there, you having that understanding, you should be able to tell if it is waterlogged or not.
Okay. Now, that is the typical site reconnaissance, one will say.
Yes.
And after that, what happens? Can I go ahead, then issue the check, pay the money?
No. I don't think at that level you are done with doing your due diligence. One of the things you have to do is conducting searches at the appropriate institution, which is the Lands Commission.
When is the Lands Commission?
The Lands Commission.
Okay.
The Lands Commission. If you look at the Constitution, Article 258 has given Lands Commission the power to be able to administer all our land issues, public land, all kind of lands. They have that power to do that. So when you go on the ground and you are satisfied with what you are seeing on the ground, then now you go to the Lands Commission. You apply for a search. First, when you apply for a search, Lands Commission have different departments that will give you a report. Like we have something like Survey and Mapping Division will give you a search report. Like the Land Title Registry will give you a report, and the Lands Commission, PVLMD, that division will also give you a report. But fortunately, now Lands Commission has been able to consolidate all the searches into one. Search. So immediately you apply, you just get a single search. And the second phase of conducting the search is also to understand what the search is saying. So you always need an expert who will be able to advise you, to be able to read and advise you what you should do appropriately. Because if you don't get an expert to do that, even the search report itself may mislead you.
Why do you say that?
I say that because some of the recitals that comes with a search, if you don't read it well, you might even think that you have lost the land for good. But some of them, we have other ways we can go through it to still secure the land. And they are very technical. So these are things that, if you want to talk about it, it will take a lengthy time.
Okay, surely we'll be having you for the weeks to come. Yes. But let's talk about what most of the times we hear, official search and unofficial search. And what is the difference between the two?
Yes, official search and unofficial search. Official search is the process by which a person applies officially to the Lands Commission for a search to be provided in respect to that property he or she wants to purchase. But when you look at unofficial search is not acceptable. It's not an acceptable practice, because this is the process whereby you go, you see people backdoor to go and look through the Lands Commission books and be able to tell you whose name is there. And even with that one, it doesn't come with details, because the search report must come with the dates and all subsequent transactions. But this one, they only write the last transaction for you, which can be misleading. And I don't advise people to go for unofficial search.
Now, there are instances where the said name or the seller, the assignor, giving you the property, you go, you do the search, conduct the search, and the name is far from the said person. And sometimes too, even at the PVLMD and that of the survey and mapping, the names there are different.
Yes. Well, immediately you do a search and the names are different. The name given to you on the ground when you went to do your personal investigations and what you are getting from the search report, then it means that you have to move away from it. And your second question, yes, there are times that you do a search at the Lands Commission and survey, and you see that the report are different, the names are different. But with the name, it's being different, it's not really a matter. It all depends on the kind of transactions that have taken place on that particular land. Let's come to think of it. In case someone has property, go to Lands Commission, go through certain processes, and his name is put in the records of the Lands Commission, and he grants you that property for you to also have it as an assignment or a lease or a sublease to you. Okay. You go to Lands Commission to go through the process. You will be required to go to the Land Title Division. And as you go to the Land Title Division, you can also go through the process and plot at Survey and Mapping Division, which will show your name. And immediately it shows your name will be at Survey and Mapping Division, and the Lands Commission will also have your grantor's name. In this instance, if you want to change your grantor's name at the Lands Commission, when you are granted a certificate, you are able to go back to the PVLMD of the Lands Commission to plot that interest. Immediately you plot that interest, then your name will cover whoever's name that was already in the system.
Clearly understood, Anaba, but there have been instances that I know the person intending to sell the land claims it belongs to their family, and probably you go, you see that at the PVLMD, but to the survey and mapping, it's another name. I've been in that situation before, and they are still making the claim that, look, this property belongs to us. Our grandfather gave it to one so-and-so, and it was never surrendered back, returned back, so you can still go ahead. Sometimes you are lucky. You go ahead, you buy, and you are still safe. You get to sit on the property. Nobody disturbs you.
Yes, as I explained earlier, it happens. It happens a lot. You are given property, but when you go to survey and mapping division, you are seeing another name. It is possible that somebody has also gone to the land title registry with a document trying to register their interest. But when you are trying to register your interest, it is what land title do is they will always make sure that they do an internal search at the Lands Commission to check if the name corresponds with whoever is granting you that property. Okay. And if the name matches, they will go ahead and give it to you. But if the name doesn't match, they will still leave your name there and they will not take it off. And what happens is that when another person also tries to register, what happens is that it becomes a conflict. And it becomes multiple requests, which we call at the Lands Commission a multiple request transaction. That means two people are seeking to register one property, which the Lands Commission will write to you to go through the right process to have that land. It's either you talk to the person to understand each other, or you go to the court to get your verdicts and come back to the Lands Commission.
So our discussion today, land acquisition, the right process. Be reminded that you can also join the conversation by sending us a WhatsApp on 0500 180 697, 0500 180 697. Let us know of your experience. And also on Twitter, that is the pyramid_show, the pyramid_show. Leave your comments there and we will be reading them. And remember to follow us. And again, back to the Land Commission and some of the wahalas that go on there. There's been instances where that sign-off gives you even the site plan, or probably you've made your own independent site plan, and you go to the Land Commission, and at these various divisions, it's not registered. There's no name to that of the land seller.
Yes, because the person has not gone through the process trying to register.
Is it safe to go ahead and buy? That's what.
Yes, it is. It is. Depending on the other due diligence you are going to do. You know, due diligence is not just based on one. You have to make sure that all the steps you take, going to check with the site plan, when you are doing your personal checks, when you visit the Lands Commission for the information you get, and when you get the district assembly information too, you put all together to determine whether or not you should go for the property.
Okay. Okay. Now, you would want to tell us about the fees involved?
I think I don't have them offhand.
You don't
yes,
have them.
But what we would like to also discuss in respect to due diligence is you doing it at the district assembly. This is a place that a lot of people don't
at the district
know,
assembly.
And the people don't do. Doing it at the district assembly helps you a lot because it helps you to know if the property was sitting in a road. It helps you to know if you are sitting on a sewage. It helps you to know if that place is demarcated for maybe a hospital by the district assembly, or maybe a playground or something. So you just don't get up by seeing somebody saying, I'm selling land, and you buy. What they always say is that land is not like tomato. You go to the market and you see the market woman, you just negotiate and you pay and you go. Land, you don't do it that way. You have to always make sure, because the courts will not stand by you if you don't even do your due diligence.
Okay, so with the district assembly, what is the procedure like? But then I wanted to ask, what is the duration for the search? I mean, once you apply, you put in the application, how long does it have to stay?
To be frank, we don't have a particular duration.
At least.
What happens is when you apply, sometimes it takes about 2 weeks, sometimes it takes about a month, sometimes it takes even longer, depending on the issues even the Lands Commission is facing in respect of that property. So there are searches that I have applied, and for a year now, I've not gotten them. There are searches too you do within a week, you get the results.
Okay, thank you on that. But you made mention of the district assembly. With the Land Commission, we know we have to pick up the form or present site plans with some few documents, and we are there. What is the situation with the district assembly?
Yeah, with the district assembly, it's also the same thing. You go with the site plan, then you apply, and they go through the necessary process. Sometimes they come to the site to come and check. Sometimes, even when they sit in their office, they are able to give you all the information you need in respect to that property.
Okay. Now, at what point do I go into negotiating with the SNO?
Yes, after you have gotten all the information you think that you are ready to go, that is when you request to meet the assigner. So in meeting the assigner, you are now, having all the questions to ask the assigner. So in this stage, you are making sure that you are clear with the size of land you are purchasing. You are also clear with the kind of instruments you are getting. So when I talk about the size of land, you see, sometimes somebody tells you, oh, I have 2 plots of land, which I want you to purchase. But when you bring a surveyor to pick the coordinates, after you have your site plan, you realize that even there's a reduction in the size
is not what
the plot.
the person said.
And if the person started saying that, oh, you can take it for 20,000, then now that you know that the land is not up to what he was saying earlier, then you can now do a better bargain.
So is there the debate? Is there a standard size? Some say 70 by 100. Some are saying 70 by 70.
It depends on the family. It depends on who is selling. So if I'm selling my land to you, I might say that 0.16 is 1 plot. So it has now become a norm. 0.16 is now, we are all saying it is 1
But
plot.
the government or the land commission is not specific what the size.
No. It's not specific about that.
But on the average, it ranges between?
Oh, the 0.16 is now accepted.
0.16.
Yes, as a plot of land.
And that goes like 70 by 100 or 70 by 70?
Yes, that's 70 by 100.
70 by 100.
Yes, 70 by 100.
Okay. Thank you so much. At this point, we'll be taking a break here. We return with more for you. Welcome back from the break. It's now time for the interactive segment with Audrey Dushi Kafui.
Thank you, Manos. On our interactive segment for the day, we're discussing on your experiences with regards to land acquisition. So you can share in your comments and experiences with us on WhatsApp at 0500-180-697. So we dive right into our comments. So our first comment coming in is from someone, and he is asking, if you acquire a new land from traditional people, they give you allocation papers, signed site plan and receipts. Is this enough documentation for any future litigation? Then moving on next is, what of those already demarcated into plots whereby you can't find the coordinates on this side? So that was coming in from Shadrach from Kumasi. Next comment is, please help me in the land dimension of 2 plots, 800 by 800. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the education. Please, how much does it cost to do a search and how long does it take as well? Next comment from another person. A family land was sold out to someone in 2008 and he paid part payment, and he is here in the case we had given out the indenture to the buyer until now. He hasn't paid in full. What should the family do? So hello, if I want to buy shopping space out of a multiple owned by an individual in the same building, what due diligence do I need to do? Please. You have a good program, and I want to add that your choice of surveyor is important. We have official surveyor, staff of survey department, licensed surveyor, retired senior surveyors of SMD, and other surveyors with stated integrity, and so licensed to practice, and others who are trained. Others are also not trained and are called quacks. I would suggest you look for a licensed surveyor because he authenticates the plan, and so he has the integrity at stake. The second would be SMD staff that you can attest to their integrity. Choosing the right surveyor will ensure that you have a good site plan. Next coming in, please, I acquired a land from a surveyor, but as it stands now, I can't access the land because someone claims to also have documents of same land number. But upon visiting the Lands Commission, I was told the said number hasn't been registered. What should I do then? Good afternoon. Please, I want to know. Please, my mom died leaving a plot of land inherited from his father. Now, this new chief from my grandfather's family is claiming ownership of the land, the cocoa farm, his building and other properties belonging to my grandmother. What do I do? I bought a piece of land at Ejiso, starting building to a lantern level, but I didn't do any search and no litigations so far. So then, that'll be all for the interactive segment. You can keep sending in your comments to us on WhatsApp at 0500 180 697. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, Audrey, and the many people that sent in the messages. Annabelle will be answering them. Then again, you're also reminded to visit the Twitter page. That's the pyramid_show. Follow the page, like the page, and also leave your comment. We shall be picking them. Annabelle, quite a number of interesting submissions there. I would want you to tackle the dead chief versus this, new chief saga that's most of the times happening in Ghana. That story is so disturbing. You buy, there's a new chief, and it's almost as if you have to go see the new chief, settle in before you can have access to your property.
Yes, that is the issues that are happening on the ground, which is quite unfortunate. When the Alodia owners have their property, most of the time they are known to be the property owners. And when the head passes away, you see that the siblings start to go apart and fight each other. So this one says, I'm the one who is supposed to inherit. This one says, I'm the one who is supposed to inherit. So the person with the greater number of land guards takes over the land and they start to sell. So in the absence of that person, another one also takes over to do that. And this has been an issue. But luckily, when you look at the new Land Act, which is the 2020 Act, it has come to solve most of these issues, which Lands Commission is in the process of implementing them one after the other. I believe that very soon, these things are going to be the thing of the past.
Okay.
Yes.
There were quite a number of questions that were asked.
Yes.
I'll give you some brief time to answer them.
Yes. I think there was a question that was asking no coordinates on his site plan. It is very unfortunate because if you have a site plan which has no coordinates, then it is an issue. It is an issue because we will not be able to locate that property. There is no way we can locate it. It's just like you losing your phone number and being not able to recollect it.
Okay.
The only way we can do that is going back to the site with the instruments to pick the coordinates. Then the system will create a new coordinate for you.
There was this other question. He said the size of the land is 800 by 800. I only believe as in feet.
He was saying 80 by 80.
80 by 80.
Yes. He was saying 80 by 80. But that is why I said that. It depends on the person selling land. I have 5 acres. I want to sell it. And I have decided to demarcate it 40 by 40 and sell.
But that's not fair.
30 by 30.
Don't you think it's high time maybe the government take a stance and tell us what the dimension of a plot should be?
I disagree with you when you say it is not fair. Because when I'm buying land that is 30 by 30, my consideration will be less. I'll be paying a lesser consideration. And if it is 40 by 40, I'll be paying a little bit higher. When it is 50 by 50, 60 by 60. So it depends. If you are not able to negotiate well, that is where the issue is. Okay,
so the consideration simply means that's the selling price for the property, the consideration. Now, Annabelle, we were on the subject that is negotiation. And at this point, I'm asking, what are some of the factors that will influence the consideration?
As I said, when you are negotiating, one of the things you have to look at is the size of land. Because if you know the size of land, then you know the consideration that you intend to pay. And secondly, you have to also know the kind of instrument you are receiving. The instrument is what we call indentures. Okay. And indentures is just a generic name of what we call an assignment, a lease, a sublease, a conveyance. All those ones are all instruments. But most of the time, we just use the word indenture. But indenture is just a generic word. Okay. So let's say if I know I'm getting an assignment and the assignment is also transferring to me only 40 years, then I know that I'm negotiating for 40 years term to be on that land. So it helps me knowing the size and knowing the duration I have on that particular land, because immediately your duration ends, it reverses back to the original owner if it is an assignment or even if it is a lease.
It goes back to the allodial owners.
Yes.
But you agree with me that most of the times, what happens is that, the properties are for sale. They go into negotiation with the assigner, not even understanding the number of years they are being given. Probably the person acquired the property and has stayed on the property for about 50 to 60 years. And the lease period was somewhere around 99. Bringing it to, that is making a deduction of almost about, bringing it to 29 years. Now it's 29 years and the said person is selling it to you. And people do not study these details. All they think is that, okay, I'm buying a property and that's it. And that's why you're trying to say it has an influence on the consideration. That's the selling price, right?
Right. So in explaining further, if you are acquiring a property, the duration is very, very important. That is going to determine how long you are going to be the owner of that property. So if a document is given to you and you don't go through the document well, you end up buying something that you don't even know the duration. There was a time I had such clients coming to me with an indenture of a land he had purchased. And he had paid everything, he had started developing. But when I saw the document and I started reading, I realized that he was only getting 45 years. So I asked him, why are you getting only 45 years? He said he didn't even know.
He don't know.
And I said, wow, now you have assigned to it. As far as you have executed it, there is no way you can go back. It means you have agreed with the terms and conditions of the instrument. So
let me help you understand this better. Assuming you're buying a property within the prime areas, an example being cantonments, so you're talking about the airport areas, and it's just left with the lease years of about 10 years, and you're buying it for $1 million, it's not for the fact that it's in a prime area, so $1 million is fair. It's just not fair. You need to pay attention to the number of years left for you to stay on that property. And Annabelle, you mentioned to us that the document, but per what I understand, most of us think documents should be given to us after payment. But you've made it known to us that we need to ask for the document concerning the land, study it, read the recitals, the schedules, then know even the number of years left to vacate the property.
Yes.
What document is that?
I do not intend today to go too much into
just
documentation, which maybe the subsequent programs will have it. But if you look at an example, a lease. A lease is a document that always has two different parties. The person, the lessor, and the lessee. So you see the lessor's name and the lessee's name. And you see the recitals. The recitals will indicate who it is coming from. Is it a family? Is it a stool? It will all indicate in the recitals. And it will also indicate what we call the schedule. The schedule is writing in English of your site plan, bringing it into words. So the coordinates and everything, the direction, the size of the land, all being put in plain words for you to be able to understand. And one of the things you must also ensure you have it in the lease is where you execute, where the two parties are going to execute, put their signatures. Because if you don't put your signatures, you don't bind it. So to be able to bind it, then you have to put your signatures, and you should have witnesses. And after that, we have the auto-proof page.
Wow, now you're going to, it's getting detailed. We'll be looking at it come next week. We'll be talking about, I think with the factors, you've told us you need to consider the number of years, lease years, and also the location. Any other thing we need to go on the
you have to also look at what is already on the property before you are purchasing. An example can be if there is something like an existing building. You should take into consideration that when you purchase and you are now to put up whatever you intend to, you have to demolish. And the cost of demolition is not a joke. So most of the time when you are negotiating and the person has an existing property, all you do is that you get a qualified technical person to go and do your technical things to indicate how much it will cost you to demolish such a property.
Okay.
So that when you are bargaining, you'll be deducting the amount from your consideration.
Thank you so very much. At this point, you can also call and be part of the show. The numbers on your screen are 0302 21 16 91, 0302 21 16 91. I was just coming to the question of all these technicalities you're telling me. I mean, this is just too much for me to comprehend. Why not the service of a valuer? And why would I need a valuer at the point of, considering the consideration?
You will need a professional, not just a valuer alone. You will need an expert like...
I'm sorry to break you, but let me go on to the phone. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, your name, where are you calling from?
Yeah, please, this Kelani calling from Takrady.
Takrady, talk to us.
Okay, I earlier sent a message, and then it had to do with me acquiring a land from a surveyor. But then afterwards, after visiting the site, I realized someone also has documents bearing the same number as mine. And I visited the Land Commission, and then I was told that particular number hasn't been registered. So I started with my registration. But as it stands now, the fellow is trying to make things violent. So I want to find out whether it is possible me demanding for a new parcel from the surveyor or demanding for my money back, because it's been 2 years now and I can't claim ownership of the land.
Okay, thank you. Anaba.
Okay, my advice would be that, first of all, I think you did not do your due diligence well. First of all, you are buying a property from a surveyor. Mm-hmm. Who is a surveyor? Is he the owner of the land? Is he part of the stool or the family that owns the land? So you should have known all this. You just don't buy land from people who stand in. You should make sure that the name that is transferring the land to you is the person you are dealing with, or somebody who has power of attorney to act on that person's behalf. That is the things that we have to always do. But in going straight to your point, what I would advise you is, if the person is ready to change another land for you, take it. But this time, do the proper thing. Just try to make sure that you conduct the searches and be sure that it will go through, so that you don't have any issues again. So
let me pick Martin, but my next question would be, when somebody stands in, is there any documentation they have to present in dealing with that assignee? Hello, Martin.
Hello, good evening, boss.
Good evening, sir.
Please, I'm calling from Asante Mampo. My name is Martin Asenso.
Okay.
Please, we have a land at Asante Mampo, and then we want someone who can just build it for us, so that we will go to negotiations, and then we will know the years, or maybe we want to know the years, maybe they will just give it to us.
Okay,
so
thank you so much, Martin. So, Martin, you get to call us after the show. We can look at that. Thank you so much, Martin. So, Anaba,
yes.
I'm talking about in the event where there's somebody standing in for the family or the assignee, is there any documentation you need to see?
At the first instance, you will not need any documents. The person who takes you to the land to show you this is the land, that's, at that point is okay. But immediately you get to money issues, negotiating table, you have to make sure that you are understanding what you are doing by asking even the person who sits in there, can you show me an ID to make sure that I know who I'm talking to, I know if he's the rightful person. If he's not the rightful person, then he must show a power of attorney to be acting on behalf of the rightful person.
Okay. Hello? Stephen. Hello, Stephen.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Stephen from Ahafo, please go on.
Please, I just want you to help me with this. I bought a land in Daprade from a chief. And later, when I went to the Land Commission to register, we were told the land was the name of rezone. But the chief also told us, so we came back to the chief and we found out and he told us that, yes, it's true, but the government has given that portion to him to develop his town. I want to find out if I can go on to build on that land.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, in advising, I would say that I don't think you should continue with the construction. What you have to do is that whatever document he has gotten from government, because he is telling you that government has released those portions to them. So definitely, government will not use just saying it to them. Definitely, there will be a document that indicates that this portion of land is released back to the family, so that when you see it, you get an expert to look at it, and if it is the right document, then we'll be able to go through.
Our next caller from Kumasi, Shadrach. Hello, Shadrach.
Yeah, hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Shadrach.
I have two questions in one that I really want some clarification. The first one has to do with I bought the land in Kumasi, and there happens to be a lease for 15 years on the land. And the person reassigned the the document to me. So I was of the view that I was told, but I want to know. I was told that there's still the need for me to go to the chiefs again for their concern, whereby I'm supposed to pay another amount of money. I want to ask from Mr. Naba whether that is really the case, or there is something that I still need to know about that. And my second question to have to do with, I also bought some land at D. Domahinko, and upon the purchase of that, they gave me a site plan, which was only endorsed by the physical planning department of the district, without any licensed surveyor signature, without any coordinates on it, without any approval from any surveyor. I want to know, would that one also qualify as a site plan? Because it is signed by the physical planning department, the director of the physical planning department. However, it does not have any license surveyor signatures or whatever. Does that one qualify as a legislative plan, or that one too is
Thank you. Thank you. Anaba.
Okay. With a site plan that is not signed by a licensed surveyor, it is not good for you to use it for anything. You have to always ensure that the site plan is signed by a licensed surveyor. When another person signs the other portion, you still have to get the licensed surveyor to sign it. So I will beg of you to do the right thing by getting a licensed surveyor to sign it, or you do a new site plan, which will be able to be used for the registration. And I think your second question, you were being asked to
go back to see the chief.
To go and see the chiefs. Going back to see the chiefs for a consent is normal. If it is a stool land and you go through all this transaction, when you are at the registration stage, you are always required to go back to the Lands Commission, to the stool lands, to go and get concurrence. If that concurrence is done, then you are good to go through. But if the concurrence is not done, you are not able to go ahead with it.
Okay. Now, earlier on in the WhatsApp questions, there was this question, how do we find a licensed surveyor to work on our site plans?
Oh, finding a licensed surveyor is one of the most easiest things you can get. Even if you go to the Lands Commission and you get any of the staff, you talk to them that you want a qualified surveyor to go and do your site picking, definitely you will get one.
Definitely.
And there are a lot of them.
Okay, so Eric is calling us from Nungwa. Eric.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just want to say, my father bought a land from one chief at Ashama, around Ashama, 2012, and it has been there. We have done half of the fence, and my father was doing the documents, and so this last week somebody called my father that somebody have come to fence the whole. It was 6 plots. Somebody have come to fence the whole plot, and I want to know. We have yellow card now. When he was doing, just reached the yellow card and he didn't continue. So I want to know whether somebody can go for another yellow card. Because we reported it to the police station. We sent our documents, everything to the police station, but they are calling the person to come. The person to say he has the documents, but you are calling the person to come.
Eric, thank you so much. Eric, thank you so much. So it's all about Eric and the father. They have a yellow card. They started the process, not done, and there's somebody encroaching on their land.
As we started the program, we started talking about due diligence. It just shows that they did not do the required due diligence.
That's Eric
for
or the encroacher?
No, Eric and Co. They did not do that, because if they did that, by now they would have known that they have upper hand or not. You see, another person also saying that he has documents to that property indicates that the person might have done the right and have seen the rightful person and must have purchased it from the rightful person, because situating his investment on the land means that he's sure that he's not going to lose it. So all I will ask Eric to do is to try and go to the Lands Commission, conduct a search with a site plan. He was talking about a yellow card. Yellow card.
What is a yellow card?
And a yellow card is even abolished at the Lands Commission now. That yellow card that was always delivered to applicants is no more there. So yellow card is just an indication that your documents have been presented to the Lands Commission. So therefore, anytime you want to follow up, you bring that card that bears your name, that bears a special number given to you to enable the Lands Commission always pull out your file. So that is what a yellow card is.
But then again, a gentle reminder, we are on the subject, that's the purpose of a valuer. Then we'll be looking at what point we'll be giving the document and the entry time onto the property. But let me pick from Koforidia, we have Nombe. Hello? Okay, so let's quickly look at the valuer, the essence of having a valuer with the pricing.
Yes, having a valuer is very, very important. In case you are buying an existing hotel, you are not an expert. Your intent is to also go into the hotel industry. One of the things you must do is to get a valuer who understands the technicalities of knowing the cost of things. So he goes in there, he values the property, he tells you that this property should be valued in this amount. So therefore, when you are also negotiating on the consideration, you are clear, knowing that this is the amount you are supposed to pay, or that is the amount I'm supposed to pay. If not, you might end up paying more than you are supposed to pay.
Okay, so from Sunyani Pius. Hello, Pius.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
You are our last caller.
Yes, thank you. Our mom was telling us something right now that I want to be sure or to get the understanding well. The difference between the site plans that have been signed by the planners at the physical planning department and that of the one that will be signed by a landscape surveyor. Because I learned at the local government act, they said it has to be approved by planners. And per the article 162 also saying that it has to be approved by a landscape surveyor or an official surveyor. So which of them is well valid? Thank you.
Looking at your question, it's always based on what you are using the land for. So if you are really going to use the land for registration, then get a landscape surveyor to sign the document. But if you are using it for other things, because site plans are not just for registration. Others do even a bigger site plan, which is for a whole area, just to show the demarcations and all that. That one, the physical planner signs them. But when you are using it for registration at the Lands Commission, you are required to have a landscape surveyor signs it.
Okay, so you've spoken about the works of a valuer. Let's look at what point should we release the money? Are we supposed to pay outright? And what is the mode of payment as a consultant?
In making payment, it depends on the situations on the ground. So after you have negotiated and you have agreed on a consideration, then you agree to where you meet to make payment. I always advise my client that payments should always be done in a bank.
That's a traceable medium.
Yes, because you are able to trace, you are able to identify who you paid the money to through his account. If even you just make cash payments, when the witnesses are not there, it's a question that we need to answer. So it is always better to go through the banking system, transfer it through his account, and that evidence
So,
is there.
I mean, as a consultant on this, is it just the indenture that I'm supposed to be giving at this moment, or there's another document I should be on the lookout?
There are other documents, but because today we're not talking about documents, I did not.
I was thinking probably there will be a sales and purchase.
Sales and purchase agreement document, which is very, very important.
But most people don't do it.
It comes even before you prepare the indenture. If you don't do a sales and purchase agreement, there's no even need to do an indenture, because a sales and purchase agreement will spell out all the negotiations you have had with the person. We are agreeing that it is 10 plots. We are agreeing that this is the installment you are going to pay the money. First, second, and third.
Okay.
All are going to be in the sales and purchase agreement.
Now, let me ask this question. At what point am I giving the indenture? After paying everything? Or maybe in tranches, maybe the second installment, I get to be given the indenture. We have less than 60 seconds.
It always depends on what you have agreed with the sales and purchase agreement. Because the sales and purchase agreement can say that after you have made your second payment, I will do the indenture for you.
Okay.
But I always prefer that you go through the payment and the indenture is also given.
Okay, so thank you so much for being a part of the show. A very big thank you to Mr. Wintima Anaba, Managing Director for Rebus Limited, a seasoned property consultant. We'll be coming your way same time next week. Catch us next week.